Conquering Spanish territories. The United States suspected Spain had blown the Maine up with a naval mine, and military investigators eventually agreed. The American newspapers published wild headlines accusing Spain of treachery. The Spanish denied having blown up the Maine, but the United States was eager for a fight. In April 1898, 2 months after the sinking of the Maine, the United States declared war on Spain. The American assault on the Spanish territories was swift and devastating. In Cuba, American forces landed and began assaulting Spanish positions. A key victory came at the Battle of San Juan Hill. Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, led a group of volunteer cavalrymen called the Rough Riders in attacking a Spanish fort at the top of a hill. The Rough Riders were a tough bunch, made up of college athletes, cowboys, ranchers, miners, and other outdoorsmen. Roosevelt and his Rough Riders stormed San Juan Hill and took the Spanish fort there. After this, the U.S. forces marched on to take the city of Santiago de Cuba, bringing a quick end to Spanish rule on the island. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, the American Navy destroyed the Spanish fleet and pounded the Spanish island of Puerto Rico into submission. Spanish possessions in the Pacific were also assaulted. The Pacific American fleet attacked and conquered the island territory of the Philippines, a chain of islands off the coast of South China. The Philippines had been a Spanish possession for over 300 years. The U.S. also conquered the island of Guam. When American ships arrived there firing at the Spanish position, the Spanish officials thought it was a salute. They had not yet heard that war had been declared. The U.S. Captain Henry Glass of the USS Charleston politely informed the Spanish officials that war had been declared and asked them to hand over the island of Guam. They did, and Guam became a U.S. territory without any conflict. With its overseas territories taken and its fleets destroyed, Spain asked for peace. The war ended in August, lasting only 3 months and 3 weeks. In the peace negotiations, Spain formally gave Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines to the United States. The U.S. was only given temporary control of Cuba. Cuba was to be given its independence, but the U.S. would have a strong say in how it was governed. This would cause problems down the road, as we shall see in future chapters. The irony of all this is that years later, a new study on the sinking of the Maine determined the ship was most likely sunk by an accidental explosion of ammunition. Spain was telling the truth when they said they had nothing to do with it. With American control spreading into the Pacific and Caribbean, the United States in 1900 was at the pinnacle of power. And with all its power, wealth, and industrial might, many Americans started wondering whether all of this progress could be used to better the quality of life in America and become a positive force in the world at large. In our next chapter, we will learn how these high ideals defined an entire generation.